in power in this way for a very long time.
Yeah, it would be the first time that Plaid Cymru comes into power, if that happens, and it still is an if, of course. You know, we're not taking anything for granted. We're making it very clear that we are prepared for government, but it's a two-horse race, and the threat of reform is very, very real. And I think that focuses minds too on the positive offer of Plaid Cymru, plus the risk if the other option on the table were to be taken.
And if you didn't get an overall majority, who do you strike a deal with?
Well, there's never been a majority in the history of devolution, and the new electoral system that's being brought in this time suggests that that will still be the case. Now, I've made it clear that my preferred option would be to form a minority Plaid Cymru government, but it would be explicitly clear on wanting to reach out to others to do agreements, to do deals, legislation by legislation, budget by budget, in order to give stability and get a programme of government through that can transform Wales.
Okay, so you're not considering a deal with the Greens, for instance, or Labour?
Well, you look for people that you can do business with.
And who would that be?
People, well, you mentioned some parties there who might have some things in common with us, who might share some common goals.
People normally say deal by deal would be unstable, not stable.
No, that it's been proven. It's still relatively new for us, 27 years of devolution, to not have single-party politics. But it's very normal in many countries. And what you do is you put a programme in place and you build that support behind it. And on health and education, on job creation, on the most generous childcare offer in the UK, we have that programme that we think we can get support for to make a difference to the lives of people in Wales.
So if I'm I spent some time in Cardiff, if I was voting, and I voted for Plaid, at what point, because you're obviously a nationalist party, you're an independence party, it's the first point in your manifesto, what point do you push for a referendum for independence for Wales?
So we've made it clear that there won't be a referendum in this term of government, for example. But
why not?
I don't think we're ready. It's as simple as that. I trust the people of Wales to make a decision on the pace of the debate on our constitutional future as a country. Now, I'm very confident in our future. I'm encouraging people as the leader of Plaid Cymru to back a party that really believes in Wales. We have Labour, Tories, Reform talking Wales down all the time, saying how hopeless we are. I don't believe we are. I'm optimistic about what we can achieve, but we've got things to do right now on health, education, on jobs and on childcare that we need to crack on with, whilst building that sense of confidence in what we can do as a nation moving forward.
If it's the first point in your manifesto that you want independence for Wales, but I vote Plaid Cymru, I'm not getting a pledge for independence in Wales in the foreseeable future.
Let's turn it around. What I see the debate on independence on, and this isn't an independence election, but what I see the debate on independence on is as a debate on how to release our potential as a nation. Now, I don't believe that how things are in Wales now, a third of children living in poverty, a stagnant economy, is as good as things can get for Wales. Now, when I ask people, do you want to talk with me about how we can perhaps do more things, take on more powers now over our natural resources, over policing and over justice and so on? Do you want to have another debate about how perhaps moving down the line we can take on even more powers? They tend to say, yeah, because things aren't working now, are they?
So it's incremental independence rather than a referendum on independence that people would be voting for.
This is a journey. 29 years ago, Wales voted for devolution by a whisker. And then 14 years later, they voted 2-1 in favour of giving that fledgling parliament full lawmaking powers and the right to vary taxes and so on. I will always look at, OK, what's the next step for us in order to create the best possible future for our children in Wales? I'll lead that debate and take the people of Wales with me.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused about tax, though. You're asking for more power to set taxes in Wales. I would say most of your voters think you want more investment in health, in education and transport. Does that mean that you're saying you want more tax power so you can raise more tax in Wales to spend in Wales?
Well, taxation goes up and down, doesn't it? What I want is a fair taxation system, and we have some powers over tax in Wales.
I'm asking you whether you want more spending in Wales on health, education and transport, and whether you would raise taxes to do that.
We need to have a decent level of spending on public services in Wales. It should be greater. We make the case for a fair funding formula from the UK government, as well as making sure that we have the ability to set the right level of taxes in Wales.
You can't be for independence and more devolution and then say, but you want the rest of the UK to pay for it. I mean, surely if you want to spend more in Wales...
You're confusing two things there, Ed. Right now, we're in the UK. right? And we're told that this works for Wales. Well, it's up to the UK government to show that it works for Wales. And if you have a situation where UK owes Wales billions of pounds for rail funding, where the UK government does not have a funding formula that is actually fair for Wales, doesn't allow us to make the most of our natural resources, that suggests to me that something is wrong there. Within the powers that we then have, of course, we want to have the nuanced ability to set a taxation system that works for Wales, rather than trying to fit Wales' system into one device.
We reported you saying that you want to lower taxes raised in Wales. Is that right?
We want to change a taxation system for some
So
people.
you
I would like those who
more
need
money
growth.
spent in Wales, with less tax paid in Wales, and the rest of the UK paying for better public services in Wales, and you call that independence?
So you've been
Doesn't sound like independence. It sounds
shadow
like
chancellor yourself.
Sounds
Ed.
like dependence.
You've been shadow chancellor yourself. You know that you look at the money that you spend and the money that you raise. So we want a prosperous economy for Wales that creates more income for Wales in that kind of way. It doesn't have to mean taxing individuals. If we can put the skills audit that we want in place, a new development agency for Wales, creating better jobs, creating more tax income for the Welsh government, that is a help as well.
I've worked with leaders in the past who always thought that they wanted to tax less and spend more, and
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
But we have a situation now where reforms say they're going to cut taxes and make decisions around infrastructure. It does not work. There's £1 billion black hole in there.
Let me ask you one other question about your manifesto and what devolution means. You're saying in your manifesto that you want in Wales the power for people to be able to transition, to choose their gender without any medical reports. A change, because in the UK you have to have 2 medical reports. Scotland proposed that. The SNP proposed that a couple of years ago. They voted for that in the Parliament, and then the UK government said, you can't do that. This is UK-wide. When you are saying in your manifesto you're going to do this, are you going to do that in defiance of the UK, or do you think the British Parliament will agree to allow Wales to have different rules and to say, if I'm a man, I can just say I'm a woman because I choose to without any medical report?
It's not exactly an issue that's central to the election in Wales now.
It's in your manifesto.
But when you look at...
You're asking people to vote on it.
When you look at recent decisions taken in courts recently, I respect those decisions
The Supreme
taken
Court
a year ago. Do I fundamentally believe that in Wales we want a system that is based on respect and trust and understanding and tolerance of different views that people have on different sides of any debate? Yes, absolutely. And you're talking about one particular issue which has created division in recent years.
I just read your manifesto.
A Plaid Cymru government is seeking for means of
you were saying
finding
in the
tolerant
manifesto
answers.
you're going to break from the UK position by having a different approach in Wales,
I will say
which the
this to you.
SNP tried in Scotland and was rejected by the UK Parliament. And either you defend your manifesto or you don't. So why don't you have a quick go at defending your manifesto? It is your manifesto, it's not mine, it's yours.
I will say this to you, Ed.
Go on, have a go at defending it.
You go through this manifesto, you will find lots and lots of examples of
where
I think Wales should be able to do differently. For example, I'll defend. But I will say, for example, on the Home Office's decision to not devolve policing, I say Wales should do things differently. When I look at decisions in the Treasury to not allow us to devolve Crown Estates,
I say things
I just asked you one question about something that's in your manifesto.
Which is hardly central to this election, I might say. When people are talking about
give us one sentence where you defend that proposal in your manifesto. I won't ask a follow-up question. Just give us one.
In one sentence, on that issue, I believe in tolerance and bringing sides together and creating an understanding between people who might have different viewpoints on a very divisive issue.
And just
it's not exactly a central issue to this.
Finally, because Ed's already pledged not to ask a follow-up on that.
I did.
Just want to ask, should Prince William still identify as the Prince of Wales?
Oh, listen, I'm a Republican by nature, but I've never brought that into my politics. I will concentrate on the things that make a difference to people's lives.
When
there are
you're
lots
First
of
Minister,
people...
you're not going to be able to have that rule. Everything is going to come into it.
On the royal family and the future of the monarchy in Wales, I don't think the First Minister makes a decision on that kind of thing. We are currently within a monarchy.
If you're a Republican, do you think there should be a Prince of Wales?